but also in Kenya partnership. Indeed, Your Excellency, as we discussed in our bilateral meetings, it is our desire to have a greater presence in Central and Eastern Europe, and I'm glad to announce today that Kenya is ready to establish a diplomatic mission in Budapest at the earliest opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, our collaboration with Hungary is anchored on trade, investment, and development. And it is within this progressive cooperation framework that Kenya and Hungary look forward to growing our trade and investment, especially during this period as we recover from the disruption occasioned by COVID-19. Kenya is particularly keen on creating more collaborations between our vibrant private sector and their Hungarian counterparts as an avenue of fully exploiting the immense potential for trade and investment that exists between Nairobi and Budapest. I would also like to once again acknowledge the huge threat that is posed by climate change to the survival of mankind, and this has given rise through various green initiatives for our country to become a continental leader in climate action. We have invested significantly in biodiversity, conservation, green manufacturing, housing and transport, as well as other sectors of our growing economy. And indeed, we do look towards deepening our collaboration in these areas with Hungary. We also had an opportunity to touch on regional peace and security, and I did inform the President that regional peace and security is at the top of our foreign policy, and we will continue to be an anchor state and a guarantor of processes to end armed conflict and to attain political stability within our region and the wider Horn of Africa. We therefore call on the international community and Hungary to continue to partner with us through various multilateral platforms in efforts to find sustainable solutions to peace and security and the challenges that face our region. I want to conclude, Your Excellency, by once again thanking your government for the $50 million that is extended to our country for investment in healthcare, agriculture, education, water and sanitation. Also, as a key member of both the United Nations Security Council and the European Union, as a key member of the United Nations Security Council, Kenya is once again counting on the support of Hungary to unlock the economic partnership agreement between the East African Community and the European Union. Once again, Your Excellency, I just take this opportunity to welcome you to Nairobi, and that we hope that you and your delegation, that also includes Her Excellency the First Lady Anita Hezga, will enjoy the warm hospitality of the Kenyan people for this period of your historic visit. Once again, it is a great honor to have you amongst us. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tisztelt elnök úr, tisztelt hölgyeim és uraim!
Distinguished President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Egy olyan ország vendégei vagyunk néhány napig, ahol az elmúlt 70 évben a függetlenné válás óta 9-szeresére nőtt a népesség.
We are being hosted in a country where the population has increased ninefold since its independence 70 years ago.
Egy olyan ország vendégei vagyunk, ahol az elmúlt években látványosan javult az életszínvonal és erősödött a középosztály.
Where you have seen a spectacular rise in the quality of life and in the strengthening of the middle classes.
És egy olyan ország vendégei vagyunk, amelyik most már hosszú évek óta ennek a térségnek, a kelet-afrikai térségnek turisztikai, kereskedelmi, pénzügyi és diplomáciai központja.
And we are being hosted by a country which has for long time now here in East Africa become a hub for tourism, for trade, for finance.
Ha a demográfiai változásokra nézünk, az életszínvonal emelkedésére nézünk, mind a kettő indokoltá teszi azt, hogy megerősítsük az együttműködésünket, hiszen a legfontosabb kérdés az itt élők számára a megfelelő mennyiségű és minőségű élelmiszer lesz a következő években.
And if we look at the demographics and the standard of living, then we have every reason to want to strengthen our cooperation, because if we look at the most important problem, it is going to be to provide best quality food in best quantities for an ever-growing number of population.
Egy olyan országban, ahol a lakosság 40%-a, a vidéki lakosságnak több mint 70%-a még most is a mezőgazdaságból él, alapvető fontosságú, hogy korszerű gazdálkodási ismeretekhez és korszerű technológiához jussanak.
I believe that in a country where 40% of the population but 70% of the rural population are still making a living from farming, it is of utmost importance that they have access to the best possible quality of technologies and practices.
Önök a következő években a növekvő élelmiszerigény kielégítése céljából közel 1 millió hektárt szeretnének termőre fordítani.
There is a plan in Kenya in order to provide for this increased food supply needs to reclaim more than 1 million hectares of arable land in Kenya.
Önök szeretnék növelni az állatállománynak a létszámát. Részben azért, hogy ellássák az itt élőket, részben azért, hogy jusson exportra.
You want to increase your capacities in animal husbandry in order to provide for your needs here in Kenya and for exports.
Ezért elnök úrral elég részletesen beszéltünk arról, hogy legyen szó növénytermesztésről, legyen szó növénynemesítésről, legyen szó állattartásról, vagy a különböző élelmiszeripari termékek feldolgozásáról, a két ország nyitott az együttműködésre.
And this is perhaps the reason why we, during our meetings with the President, had quite detailed discussions on the possibility of cooperation, to which we are both open in terms of plant cultivation, plant production, animal husbandry and food processing, food production.
De vannak más területek is. Kenya vállalta a párizsi megállapodás aláírásakor, hogy 10%-kal növeli erdőterületeinek a nagyságát. Magyarország rendelkezik megfelelő erdőmérnöki tudással ahhoz, hogy ebben, ha kell, ha Kenya kéri, segítséget nyújtson.
But there are also other areas also. Kenya, for example, has undertaken, when signing the Paris agreements, to increase by 10% its forest cover. Well, Hungary has well-trained forestry engineers and skills and knowledge in this area. So, should the need arise, we will be more than happy to assist.
Mindenütt a világon a növekvő életszínvonal természetesen nagyobb mennyiségű hulladékot eredményez. A közös felelősségünk, hogy ennek a hulladéknak egy nagy része, nagyobbik része az újra felhasználható legyen, ebben is készek vagyunk az együttműködésre.
I believe that with the increase of the quality of life globally everywhere in the world, we are also increasingly producing more and more waste. And I believe it is our joint responsibility to try and recycle at least the majority of this waste. And here is another area where we are happy to cooperate.
Önök joggal kérdezhetnék, hogy rendben van, ezek tervek. De van-e már olyas valami, amiről sikerként adhatunk számot, ami már megvalósult?
Of course, you have every right to ask me, okay, these are all plans, but is there anything you have that is actually there, commercially off the shelf available?
3 példát szeretnék erre mondani.
And I'd just like to cite 3 specific examples.
Az egyik ilyen sikeres projekt volt, és ez másik 3 visegrádi országgal együttműködve valósítottuk meg, hogy a támogatásunkkal egy kesúdió termesztésére alkalmas farmot vagy egy farmrendszert hoztunk létre.
The first success story is a cooperation with the 3 other Visegrad countries where we have together contributed to the creation of a cashew farm and cashew processing facility.
Ez egyrészt 50 000 embernek nyújt megélhetési lehetőséget.
This provides the means of living for 50,000 people in Kenya.
Másrészt jelentősen bővíti az export lehetőségeit Kenyának.
And is of course substantially expanding its export capacities.
A Hungary Helps program keretében 5 sikeres projektet fejeztünk már be, és másik 6-ot tervezünk elindítani.
During the Hungarian program of Hungary Helps, we have concluded 5 successful projects of assistance, and we plan there are 6 others in pipeline.
Ennek keretében olyan szakmáknak a megszerzését, szakmai tudásnak a megszerzését tesszük lehetővé a kenyai fiataloknak, amit a kenyai gazdaság aztán jól tud hasznosítani.
We are offering our assistance to help train young Kenyans in professions that later they will be able to put to good use in the interest of the Kenyan economy.
De nem csak jó szakmunkásokra, nem csak jó szakemberekre, hanem diplomával rendelkező, komoly tudással rendelkező értelmiségiekre is szükségük van a kenyaiaknak.
Kenyans not only need, however, only tradesmen and well-skilled workers. Your society, your people also need well-trained graduates, intellectuals.
Ezért a tavalyi évben a Stipendium Hungarikum ösztöndíj program keretében meghirdetett ösztöndíjaknak a számát megdupláztuk, tehát 2-szer annyi ösztöndíjas tanulhat most már Kenyában az idei évtől, mint tavaly.
As a result of this, we have decided last year to double the number of scholarships offered under the Stipendium Hungaricum, Hungarian government scholarship program for Kenyan students.
És őszintén remélem, hogy mire ezek a fiatalok diplomát szereznek,
I sincerely hope that by the time these young people graduate in Hungary,
addigra megvalósulnak azok a beruházások, amikről elnök úrral beszéltünk.
You will have implemented, Mr. President, all those different projects that we discussed.
És ezeknek a sikeres működtetésében, további működtetésében ezek a fiatalok, a magyar egyetemeken diplomát szerzett fiatalok már részt tudnak venni.
So that these young Kenyan graduates can return to this country and participate in the successful operation thereafter.
Hogy megköszönve elnök úrnak a szíves vendéglátást és a szíves fogadtatást,
I'd like to express my gratitude to you, President, for this cordial, warm welcome.
Sok sikert kívánok elnök úrnak is, és Kenyának a járvány leküzdésében, a gazdasági célok elérésében és a természeti örökség megóvásában.
Mr. President, I wish you personally and all the people of Kenya a lot of success in your endeavors to overcome this ravaging pandemic. I wish you a lot of success in furthering and achieving your economic objectives and preserving for all of us the natural legacy, the environmental legacy that we all enjoy here in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. That marks the end of our program today. Thank you and God bless.
Well done, Mike.
That has been a joint presser from the State House of President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, together with his counterpart from Hungary, Janos Ada. And perhaps to just a recap of that, President Uhuru Kenyatta says that strengthening ties between the two countries is his priority. Training, scholarship have also increased, which will boost education in the country, and Kenya is ready to establish a diplomatic mission in Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary, and of course 5 billion in Kenya shillings, that is $50 million US extended for Kenya for investment, health, water, infrastructure, education, agriculture, among others. On his part, Janos Ada has talked about strengthening ties and also increasing capacity in animal husbandry and agriculture to boost export, and they are ready to help Kenya achieve 10% forest cover with their forest engineers. And of course, he also mentioned matters Kenya-Hungary being one of the leading education sport in Central Europe. Just to mention, Hungary is known for 13 Nobel Prize winners and also for their cuisine and historical buildings and a rich cultural heritage, just to mention a few. It's a country of less than 10 million people, but is quite a superpower when it comes to Central Europe. And on that note, let's first of all have a quick break, then we'll be right back.
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
Pata chanjo.
na kuhitaji unikinge,
Pata chanjo.
na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
You can go and do whatever you want.
Well, if that's the case, I quit.
You're not
I mean
ready.
it, Dad, I've had it.
I need to go back to Pueblo to fulfill my grandfather's lifelong dream. I'm going to build his clinic.
It is part of his plan to have Santiago marry the poor soul Renata, who, by the way, is so rich that she's rotting in money. If you can't defeat that enemy, join her.
Because the rent money is missing and the boss is going to be furious.
What do you mean the money's missing? I'm here because I'm going to Pueblo with you.
I'm not worse than Saint Lucia. She had her own skeletons in her closet. That's why she ended up murdered.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Champions are through.
Welcome back. We are glad that you are keeping it KBC Lunchtime News. In other news, leading scientists in the country are decrying poor funding for research and development, saying sad state of affairs could negatively impact on the development of the country as well as overall welfare of citizens. The scientists who spoke during the COVID pre-grant conference in Nairobi said it was a shame to always depend on donors who in most cases fund their own area of interest. Purity Musel reports.
The Research Fund NRF is funding tens of scientists in the country to develop evidence-based natural medicinal products to mitigate COVID-19 disease. The over 131 million shillings will be divided among 4 different consortiums on a need basis.
The first consortium was to look on matters of biotechnology research and clinical trials. And and the budget awarded to that consortia was about 43 million. The second consortia was to look at drug development and trials aspects, and the consortia was awarded 50 million based on the budget and the various objectives they presented. We had another group that was looking at psychosocial effects, which was awarded 18 million, thereabout. And lastly, but not the least, COVID-19 preventive consortia, which was also awarded 18 million.
Scientists have now pieced together substantial information about COVID-19, and as a result, more targeted research is essential to mitigate the adverse effects of the disease.
During the launch of the COVID-19 pre-grant conference in Nairobi, scientists raised concerns of underfunding in the research and innovation sector in the country.
African governments committed to putting aside 2% of their GDP. And I think it's only South Africa and Tanzania that have been able to do 1%. Kenya, we started on very well. And we were doing something like 0.3%, 0.5%, not of GDP, but of the budget.
They took issues with over-reliance on international donor funding, which they claim is dragging the country and the continent at large backward.
It's up to us as researchers to redeem ourselves and to show the relevance of science. Anybody who thought that science is not important now knows.
The chairperson of the Education Committee in the National Assembly, Florence Mutua, saying that Africa can develop faster if governments allocate reasonable funds to science and innovation.
There's a time we gave NRF money and it was removed by Treasury. We must say it here, because I don't know who in Treasury would assume that research is not important in this country and remove money that has been allocated to research.
To support pooling of research efforts and resources to respond to the crisis.
Our country is rich in natural products, and we are going to make use of what we have in the country so that we can find a solution for COVID-19.
The scientists are hoping to use the funds to find lasting solutions to the stubborn COVID-19 disease. Purity Museo, Lunchtime News.
From that research note, we now look at the BBI. You do remember after it lost ground at the Court of Appeal, the Attorney General, Kihara Kariuki, did move to the Apex Court, that is the Supreme Court, seeking constitutional interpretation on some of the rulings or some of the judgment that the Court of Appeal judges did make, and also some of what the High Court judge did talk about. And now we are linking up with my colleague Sarafina Robi for more details just before the BBI appeal case goes to the Supreme Court.
Including pleas, mentions, hearings and judgments before different magistrates and judges. But key among all these is the hearing of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021 that is set to kick off tomorrow on Tuesday before a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court, whereby we expect 3 appeals filed by 3 petitioners who include the Attorney General, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Morara Omoke. These are some of the petitioners that have filed appeals at the Supreme Court that will kick off tomorrow. We also have about 8 respondents that are lined up for this hearing that will be kicking off tomorrow. While some of the key things that will be looked upon tomorrow, especially one of the petitions or appeals that has been filed by one of the petitioners, Morara Omoke, is the multi-choice referendum questions that he seeks to get more to be expounded more from the Supreme Court, as well as the other appellants are seeking to get to know about some of the issues that had been addressed in the High Court as well as the Court of Appeal, including whether civil cases can be filed against a president or someone holding the office of the president, matters to do with the quorum of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, whereby the IEBC now seeks to move in, not to necessarily question the fact that the Court of Appeal ruled about the matters to do with quorum, but rather to limit the decision from affecting previous functions or processes that the IEBC had undertaken before, but this should be limited only to the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021. Also, the Supreme Court had given out certain directives that it seeks to follow as of tomorrow, key among them being that the petitioners, the three petitioners, which are the AG, the IEBC and Morara Omoki, have been given each 45 minutes to submit, to make their submissions, to highlight their submissions tomorrow, as well as the key respondents, including David D, Jerotit Say, Third-Way Alliance have also been given 45 minutes each, and the supporting parties have been given 15 minutes to highlight their submissions tomorrow. Thereafter, also the petitioners have been given 10 minutes to respond to the submissions by the respondents. And also, apart from that, is that the amicus curiae or the amici have been struck out from tomorrow's hearing, and also the Supreme Court said that it will be very strict with time, saying that the time allocated should be adhered to, given that once your time lapses, then the microphone will be automatically switched off. We look forward to this hearing tomorrow, whereby we'll be bringing it live on KBC. We're also able to see a letter that has been written to the Deputy Registrar, whereby they're complaining about the time allocated, seeking that it can maybe be added. We'll be looking forward to see whether that will be responded to tomorrow before the hearing kicks off. Back to you, Troy.
Indeed, thank you so much, Sarafina Robi, just giving us a glimpse of what to expect tomorrow when the BBI appeal case starts at the Supreme Court. But just to mention is that a lot of pertinent issues in that appeal is the jurisdiction and also matters IEBC. IEBC also had filed a separate petition there talking about the quorum that, of course, BBI was faulted to having not followed all the laws that were to be followed before that case was started. IEBC now is fully constituted, but the question is, was it constituted, fully constituted, when the BBI started out? Well, from tomorrow, we will be hearing all the parties involved in that petition, and you can be sure that KBC will be there to keep you afloat with all the latest happening. Well, from the corridors of justice, let's now focus on matters politics, where Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has reached out to Meru County Governor Kiraitu Murungi's Devolution Empowerment Party for a possible coalition. Kalonzo says his party is looking to build a winning alliance ahead of the August general elections. But in a rejoinder, Governor Kiraitu Murungi said his party will support a presidential candidate who will address the interests of the Meru community.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his delegation was in Meru County to reach out to Devolution Empowerment Party as they seek to form the next government.
Tumesema basi haiwezi enda bila Wiper. Na tunataka tushikane, tushike His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, and especially after COVID. Economy iko chini sana ya Kenya. And is only a sober leader like His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka mwenye anaweza komboa iji.
Kalonzo committing to mobilize his legislators in parliament to support an initiative to increase county budgetary allocation.
Tumekubaliana na Kiraitu, ndugu yangu Kiraitu, kwamba lazima tuokoe Kenya hii. Kwa hivyo basi ya Kiraitu na Wiper tutaungana kwa kuandika mkataba maalum.
DP party leader Governor Kiraitu Murungi said the party will coalesce based on interest.
Kalonzo is my friend. Even Raila was my friend because I was even his lawyer at one time. But we are not going to vote for friendship. We are going to vote for interests.
Elsewhere, Garissa Senator Abdul Haji says the political parties amendment bill currently in the Senate will strengthen small political parties that are often misused by bigger ones.
Hii sheria ikipitishwa inapatia nafasi chama ndogo ndogo kuweza kushirikana na chama kubwa, lakini wanaweza kuandikishana ile kitu wanataka, na hiyo ikuwe ni sheria, na hiyo agreement haiwezi kuvunjwa.
Senator Abdul rallied residents behind Upya movement promising them greater political dividends. And in Tana River, Governor Dado Godana has accused his predecessor, Ambassador Hussein Dado, of leaving the county in a debt.
Ametupotezea miaka ngapi? Miaka mitano ya kwanza. Miaka mitano ya kwanza ametupotezea. Wakati wengine wamepiga hatua, sisi tunakuja sasa tunaanza kulipa madeni, kuweka misingi. Alafu leo hii mtu anakuja tu kiholela, anakuja anasema nataka munipe kura.
In Mombasa County, Mvita MP Abdulsamad Sharif Nasir has urged the youth to shun divisive politicians. Nasir urged politicians to desist from uttering disparaging remarks.
Vijana, tusiwe ni wenye kuhadaiwa kwa lugha zile ambazo kwamba ni za kutapeli. Njia peke yake mwafaka, utajua thamani yako pale utakuwa una kura yako.
Gishoke Washira, Lunchtime News.
Let's make a sense of shillings and cents in business, where more than half of Kenya's wealthiest individuals have reset their priorities to improve their health and setting aside funds for their children's future. According to Standard Chartered's latest wealth expectancy report, COVID-19 prompted the affluent to be more future-focused, with 96% of them having reset their life goals following the pandemic.
The European Commission, in its Sub-Saharan Economic Review findings in April to June 2020, indicated that COVID-19 interferences led to close to zero economic growth for the year. This means that Kenya's wealthy suffered reduction in economic activity in, among others, labor productivity and export commodities.
This is very important because post-COVID, clients have actually looked at themselves and said, what do I need to do to actually change the way I manage my money?
At the same time, for 59% of respondents for the Standard Chartered Bank's latest wealth expectancy report, COVID-19 diminished their confidence in their finances, preventing them from taking the actions necessary to achieve their new goals.
What are the things that triggered you to make changes in terms of how you manage your finances? And a number of things came up here. One is that clients generally observed that the traditional investing that they had been doing, or how they were earning their money, actually was impacted by COVID-19. It could have been employment or their business. Secondly, they found that there were more volatility, so more uncertainty in terms of how this income was coming. So they want a little bit of stability and maybe a second source of income. And then obviously the cost, the spend changed. So clients started spending more money in healthcare.
To meet these new goals, experts say the wealthy have new strategies to grow their wealth, which often involves more proactive investment rather than just saving cash. In the Standard Chartered report, 68% chose to manage or improve the home and immediate surroundings, with 66% focusing on 96% set new financial goals in the last 18 months. The average number of new goals set for each individual was 5.3 goals. 98% of people took at least one action relating to their finances last year. Alanauko, Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, the Insurance Regulatory Authority is urging farmers to take up crop and livestock insurance as cover risk occasioned by erratic weather. The regulator notes that uptake of insurance by small-scale farmers was slow despite being the most affected.
By last month, at least 1.4 million head of cattle had been lost due to drought that had been reported in parts of the country, while the number of people in need of food aid was 2.8 million.
Mfugo zinaisha, kurudi kwao. Zile mbuzi ambazo zilitoka hapa asubuhi kwenda kutafuta malisho, kurudi ni saa 4 usiku. Na wakati ilitoka hapa pengine asubuhi zilikuwa 20. Hatujui kwamba 15 ndio itarudi ama ni 10 itarudi.
The situation, according to a report from the National Drought Management Authority, is getting critical as erratic weather patterns become more frequent.
Bima ya mifugo pia inalingana. Ni mifugo aina gani? Wako katika hali gani?
hiyo mifugo imewekwa namna gani, na pia italingana wana hiyo bima ya mifugo inafaa ifaidie. So hiyo yote inaandikwa na mnakubaliana wewe kama mteja na kampuni ndio bima sasa ikuwe activated.
To address this, the insurance regulatory authority is urging farmers to take up crop and livestock insurance. The regulator notes that erratic weather conditions and increased awareness on available insurance products is steadily driving uptake of crop and livestock insurance among smallholder farmers.
Kuna wakulima wengi sana ambao wako na bima ya mifugo. Wengi wakulima wa mimea, wakulima wa mifugo. Nao na wamechukua bima, kuna wenye wamefidiwa tena kwa wingi sana. Kwa hivyo ni kuambia tu wengine, wale wakulima wengine, tafadhali waweze kutembelea kampuni za bima na waweze kununua bima.
Crop insurance for long has been a preserve of large-scale farmers. The government plans to roll out an insurance scheme in which farmers will be compensated to afford feeds for their animals during drought. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
And from that report to some good news to livestock farmers, where KCB Foundation plans to support over 5,000 farmers in the livestock value chain in the form of working capital and asset-based financing across 20 counties. The initiative by KCB Foundation aims to enhance the commercialization and output of the farmers through farmers' cooperative organizations in the livestock value chain by enhancing market access and income opportunities for farmers across the country.
A total of 70 farmer cooperatives will be trained through an initiative by KCB Foundation this year, followed by market linkages access through the extensive KCB Group network, as well as implementation of sustainable livestock production in light of climate change which has affected food production. KCB Foundation Chief of Party Caroline Wanjeri says working through cooperatives is critical as they commercialize farmer operations and provide a learning environment to maximize own value addition, enabling farmers to realize their potential. The first phase of program is under implementation in 10 counties, namely Laikipia, Baringo, Samburu, Taita Taveta, Narok, Kajiado, Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Marsabit. The second phase of the program will be rolled out in Isiolo, Wajir, Tana River, Lamu, Garissa, Turkana, West Pokot, Busia, Mandera, and Kitui. Meanwhile, the Capital Markets Authority has admitted Sycamore Capital Limited to its regulatory sandbox for 6 months. The fintech seeks to test its application named Cashlate App, a digital mobile-based unit trust investments application. The Cashlate app, if successfully tested and rolled out in the open market, is expected to play a role in driving investor participation in the capital markets through collective investment schemes. CMA Chief Executive Wycliffe Shamia says the Cashlate app will provide a convenient and affordable opportunity for small investors to access professionally managed and diversified asset portfolios. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
In other news, a project to expand parts of the Suez Canal is expected to be completed after 2 years of work in July 2023. The Suez Canal Authority SCA announced accelerated plans to extend a second channel of the canal and to enlarge an existing channel after the Ever Given container ship ran aground and blocked the waterway for 6 days last year. Details of this and other news from the African continent.
The project will be completed in 24 months, which started in July 2021. The plans of the project indicate the southernmost 30 kilometers of the canal, where the container ship got stuck, is set to be widened 40 meters eastward and deepened by a further 6 feet to 72 feet. The project will be completed in 24 months, which started in July 2021. The plans of the project indicate the southernmost 30 kilometers of the canal, where the container ship got stuck, is set to be widened 40 meters eastward and deepened by a further 6 feet to 72 feet. The works will improve ship navigation in that part of the canal by 28%. Ships pass through the canal in convoys, and the extension of the second lane would increase capacity by 6 ships. The southernmost 30 kilometers of the canal where the Evergreen became grounded is said to be widened 40 meters eastward and deepened to 72 feet from 66 feet. Meanwhile, Tunisia's crisis-stricken economy needs deep reforms, such as slashing its vast public wage bill. Its debts have soared to nearly 100% of the gross domestic product. Its GDP plunged by almost 9%, the worst rate in North Africa, only modestly offset by a 3% bounce back last year. The economy is quite weak and far from enough to create jobs to counteract an unemployment rate of 18%. In a country of 12 million people, more than half of public spendings goes to paying the salaries of around 650,000 public servants, a figure that does not include local authority wages. Finally, South Africa's cloud provider Rooted has launched its channel partner portal to provide curated resources for partners, managed service providers and ISPs selling, marketing and operating as resellers of VMware Cloud through Rooted. Rooted is the first VMware Cloud verified partner in Africa since 2019 and has gone on to become a VMware principal partner too. Rooted has built a resilient and robust channel to assist its partners in delivering the best solutions that their end customers have come to expect from VMware.
Let's now turn our attention to sports news, where defending champions Algeria is on